And thank you, Gemma. We are into the second video of Erasmus Plus and your work in Leargas. Just to do a quick introduction again, Gemma Lee, who is the Senior Support and Development Officer in Leargas. If you haven't seen the first video, please go back. It'll give you a demonstration of the sort of areas that Leargas work with you as a national contact point in for the Erasmus Plus funding. But to go a little bit of more of a deep dive into adult education and maybe talk a little bit about some practical supports that are most likely available to social enterprises. Please do take it away, Gemma.
Thanks so much, Chris. So my main role in Leargas is looking after the adult education projects. And so that's what I wanted to look at today is I think a lot of these are going to be relevant to your own members and to a lot of the social enterprises. So many of them are doing amazing work in communities across Ireland. And we'd love to be able to offer them support to get involved in European projects and to really see what's out there and engage with their European peers. So in terms of adult ed, what we mean in Erasmus Plus when we talk about adult education is really big and broad. So it's all kinds of formal, non-formal, informal work with adults. It's anything that's non-vocational. So what I always like to think of is somebody learning for themselves, for their own personal development and growth, as opposed to learning how to be better at their job, so it's those kind of life skills and personal development skills. So I think so many social enterprises are doing fantastic work along this. It's always kind of hard to picture and to explain. So what I did was, here is all of the organizations we worked with last year. I thought this was a good way to kind of show this, that it's so broad. It's everything from domestic abuse services, family resource centres, environmental organizations, volunteering organizations, the arts and culture, local partnerships. So it's big and broad, but there are not enough social enterprises on there. So let's try and do this slide again next year with a few more of your members, and hopefully we'll get them all involved. So when we're looking at the Erasmus Plus programme, there's 4 kind of key priorities. And I think this is where, if any of you are wondering, do I fit in here? Is this to do with me? Well, are you working on these 4 areas? And I have a feeling most of you are working on at least one, if not all of them. So Erasmus Plus has a big focus on inclusion and diversity, making sure anyone that wants to take part can do so. We look at digital transformation, so ensuring that anyone has the digital skills that they need to work and to live in a modern world. We look at the environment and the fight against climate change. And we always try to see how can we do these projects and facilitate people to engage with each other across Europe, which we do know involves leaving Ireland, usually on a plane or a boat, but to do so in a way that is as environmentally friendly as possible. And then the other one that I think is really important is that whole piece about participation and civic engagement and people getting involved in their communities and in their societies. So if you're working on some of those priorities, then keep listening and hopefully we'll have some kind of a good opportunity that will work for you. So I'm going to cover 2 different types of opportunities that we offer. As always, with the European funding, there's a little bit of jargon to learn. So the first ones I'm going to cover are what we call Key Action 1 projects, and then there's Key Action 2 projects. And if you decide you want to get involved in any of these, come along to more of our sessions. We go into all of that. We explain all of these different words and language and everything else. But in terms of the Key Action 1 projects, these are often known as mobility projects. So they're all about people moving from one place to another in Europe. So for your staff and your volunteers, you can do all kinds of interesting things in other countries in Europe. So you can send people off on courses of training. You can do a job shadowing. So if you find another organization that's doing something really interesting, you can spend some time there. It's a great way to really get under the skin of an organization to see, how do they interact with the people coming in and out the door? How do they work with people? How do they support people? All of that. You can also do invited experts. So that's where you're bringing the European experience here to Ireland. So you're bringing somebody from another European country to run a workshop for your team. You can do, this is all kind of a pick and mix. So you can do a mixture of these activities or you can just do one. These projects can be as big and as complex as you like, or they can be really simple and straightforward if you're just getting started. So whatever works for you. We also have opportunities for your learners. So in terms of your organization, that might not necessarily be a really obvious, here's the teacher, here's the learner, but these might be the participants of your programs. They might be the community members who are coming in and engaging with you on a regular basis. So whoever that is, whoever you're working for. So in terms of those opportunities, it's all about visiting their peers. It's about going to other organizations to learn and share from one another. The activities they do when they're there are really, really broad. And it, again, depends on the kind of work that you do and what makes sense for you. So maybe it's volunteering in the community, maybe it's work-based learning, maybe it's just a case of spending some time with people from another country, and maybe that's enough for the people that you work with. And that's in itself can be a life-changing experience. And there's loads of different ways to go about this. There's short-term, long-term, group, individual, whatever works for you. From 2 days right up to a year, I think, is as far as it goes. So yeah, you know, you can tease that out and whatever makes sense for you. Within that, there's loads of different supports built in terms of inclusion support. If you need to bring extra people to support those participants, we fund that. If you need to get, I don't know, visas, passports, anti-poverty measures. So people literally just need winter coats and new suitcases, you know, all of these kind of things we can look at, and that's all done on a case-by-case basis. You can also do preparatory visits. So if you have this great idea, yeah, I want to take 20 of my participants off to France, but oh, that sounds a bit scary. Well, you can go first and you can check it out and you can figure out how it's all going to work and talk to the hosting organization before you do the main trip. And I think that's so important, again, for people that are getting new to this and need some support. People always ask me about the money. So I have a quick slide on the money, but I'm not going to go into all this detail. But just to say, in general, the funding will cover your travel, your accommodation, your course fees if you're doing training courses. And that inclusion support really is built in. And a lot of it is done on a case-by-case basis. If there's a barrier there that we can remove with some extra funding, we're happy to have that conversation. But generally, yeah, you should more or less break even on these international trips. Then the other part. So I did say there was Key Action 1 and there was Key Action 2. So for Key Action 2, these are what we call partnership projects. So the Key Action 1 projects are more about the individuals, people moving. The partnership projects are more that organizational level. So what are you going to do working with your organization and another organization in another country? These are fabulous projects because they're really, really flexible. So it's really down to what you think you'd like to do and what ideas you have. So maybe you've got some kind of program that's working really well and you'd love to find out, how does this work in Spain? Would this work culturally, or would we need to adapt it? So you could partner with another organization, you could pilot it, you could tweak it, you could change it around, you could develop some kind of training resources and toolkits, or you could run a big conference to teach loads of people all about it. But of course, the big part of partnership is that best practice. So it's working with other people, learning from each other, being inspired by each other, understanding the cultural context. So sometimes something that works in one country just simply won't work in another because it's just so different, or the legal setup is different, or the politics is different. You don't know until you actually sit with them and tease that out and learn about that. But it's fascinating to do so. So these projects, they're done on a kind of a lump sum basis. So we give you a lump sum of funding and you plan the budget and you plan the activities within that. But they're super, super accessible. So the smallest one is what's called a small scale partnership. It starts with a €30,000 budget. You just need 2 partners. So that's yourself and one other. You can have more than that if you like, but that's the minimum. And you really have that mix of kind of national and transnational activities. So not everything has to happen over and back, over and back. You could both be working on something locally and then you come together to share your experiences. That's absolutely fine. These ones are specifically targeted at newcomers. You will literally get some extra points on your application form if you are new to European funding. This is who they're pitched at, so don't be put off. And we provide loads of support for people that are applying for these as well. Now, that said, they do get much bigger. So if you're a bit more experienced or maybe just a little bit more innovative and you have a great idea that you want to do something big with, the cooperation partnership projects are the next kind of step up from those. They go from 120,000 right up to 400,000. I will say these ones are a bit more competitive. Of course, we're expecting, really good plans and really impactful projects, and impact kind of beyond just your own organization, but maybe on your sector or on your community, that you have that kind of follow-on effect from your project. These ones have a minimum of 3 partners, so that's yourself and 2 others. We would often see them have kind of 5 or 6 for these kind of big projects. But again, they're out there, they're possible. There's loads of great organizations doing them at the moment. So the next question that people always ask me, and I'm watching Chris now to see if I have read his mind again, is where do we find all these partners? So EPALE is our online platform. It's the electronic platform for adult learning in Europe. And it has a fantastic partner finding tool within that. So if you're kind of interested in this, but you're not sure where to start, it's a great place to go and to just kind of see who's out there, what are people doing. You can post a partner finding announcement, or you can search the ones that are already there. Or even just if you're not quite ready to do a project yet, but you'd like to see kind of what's happening in the wider space of adult learning in Europe, there's always new blogs going up every day from all over Europe, and it's all translatable. So you can read stuff in any languages. But yeah, so that is all for me. I think the next steps, if this is something that interests you, is to come along to more of our events. So we run a bunch of different events all through the year, especially in the run up to the deadlines where we support people with applications. But we also run a bunch of different kind of partner finding events, training and upskilling events to try and get you ready to do these kind of projects. And the other thing I would absolutely say is just get in touch with us. We're not some kind of people in suits looking after all the money. We are accessible. We are here to help you. We absolutely understand that it's a bit scary to start getting involved in Erasmus Plus for the very first time. So yeah, reach out to us and we will point you in the right direction and give you as much help as we can.
Absolutely. I deeply appreciate it. And I was just, when you were going through, I was like, I totally forgot about EPALE. And I know you need to be in, but like that information alone just set me off. And another thing is reminded me about all the bits that is available. So if you think that there's no such thing as a dumb question, or you don't have an idea, talk it through with you. I mean, it'd be better if you had more of an idea than less of an idea, but everybody should come to you and just say, I'm going down this path. And you can set them up for what success looks like for all levels of these projects, right, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for those mobility projects, those projects where you're sending your staff and your volunteers abroad, the funding is at a point now when there is not as much demand as there is funding. So we're literally knocking on doors going, hey, is this of interest?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And people don't know this, but like your background is covering the piles of cash that you've got sitting around in 10 and 50 euro notes. Just to let everybody know, you're ready to give out the cash. It is really important that people engage with you as early as they can for more successful projects, and give it a punt, give it a shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even organizations that are not successful,
yeah,
you get a list of feedback from the people who evaluated your applications with like, hey, put some more effort on this. We didn't really answer this. Tell us this more about this. We try to do that. We try to really support people to come back and be even more successful the next time.
You've always been incredibly open, supportive, available. Your team in Leargas are always good. There's always somebody that gets back. We're deeply appreciative of that. And thank you so much for allowing us to have a little bit of an insight into the adult education. So we're hoping we'll have more social enterprises, and we are going to fill that slide full of social enterprises for this time around. But thank you so much, Gemma, for that. And more information is available, and we'll leave it in the links. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers.